You've become
Hi,
a little famous for the idea of a capsule blog library. You talk about it a lot
I
everywhere.
do everywhere. Yes, yeah. Yeah, so the capsule blog library concept that I teach is like at the center of high leverage content, my program. And it all started back when I was starting my business, starting my online business. And like when I was like quitting my job and getting started with my online business, which I started so that I could be location independent and have all the time freedom that I wanted, which is I know a lot of people can relate to. That's why a lot of us end up starting our businesses. And I was in a similar situation as a lot of people where I started realizing that like if I did marketing the way that everybody was sort of saying you would need to do it, or what I was seeing out there, that would become like a whole full-time job, and then I wouldn't be as have as much time freedom. So I ended up developing a marketing system for my own business that kept me booked out with clients and booked out in advance with a wait list and all this stuff, where I was writing blog posts, a library of blog posts. Back then, I didn't call it a capsule blog library, but that's what it was back then. And now I've just named it, years later when I look back and realize what I was doing. So yeah, that's where the capsule blog library concept came from, like from my own, business. And I call it a capsule blog library because it's like a capsule wardrobe, where with a capsule wardrobe, right, you just have like a certain number of very versatile, high quality things that you then like mix and match into all the outfits you need, but you don't have a lot, right? You don't have like a closet that's like busting open and,
Yeah.
all kinds of different things everywhere. Instead, you just have like the high quality things you need. And anytime you need something to wear, wherever you're going, you can always grab the pieces and put it together. And it's like so easy. And you always feel confident, and it gives you a lot of like a sense of clarity because you know what you have and you can see everything, and you're not constantly like trying to like push your closet doors closed when they won't close because you're busting out and you're buying new things because you don't know what you have and all that kind of stuff. So that's it's the same kind of concept. That's why I call it the capsule blog library, like the capsule wardrobe. So
I really love this idea specifically because you just said something that a lot of people in my world struggle with. And by my world, I mean my membership, people that are in my audience,
yeah,
especially those that overlap with creating blog content or creating a lot of offers, funnels, etc. Um, they don't know what they have.
right.
They have so much that they don't know what they have, which was actually the birth of one of my programs, one of my very first digital products a long, long time ago,
Yeah,
because I didn't know what all my clients had as far as content that I could create marketing content for. So
yeah.
if you don't know what you have, then how in the hell are you supposed to promote it?
Yep, exactly, exactly. And it's so funny because my brain is going to, you and your personal life. You have moved across the country with only the things you need, across the country, sorry, across the globe, with only the things that you and your family needed. And you also had a whole part of your life where you and your family lived in a van.
Mhm.
And I mean, in a good way.
Yeah, we weren't
Um,
poor.
right? You did van life. I'm just as a like I'm following this new Instagram account. I'm sure you already know about her. Can't even remember her name off the top of my head because it's that new to me. I just found her yesterday, but all about like their van travels and their van life. And it's like such a minimalist existence. And like when you are living, in a van, traveling the country, or when you pick up everything and you move to Europe with your family, like you guys did, with only the things you need, you definitely know what you have. Like you know exactly what you have. There's no like forgetting that you had something and buying it again. So yeah, so that's the concept too with the capsule blog library is if you have these key pieces that and the way we design the capsule blog library inside of high leverage content, you are choosing the pieces, if you will, the pieces of your wardrobe, the blog posts, based on the things that your audience needs to hear and learn and understand more deeply to be ready to buy. Then you know what you have. You're building this library. You always have a good inventory of like what pieces you have and what pieces you don't have yet that you're still working on or still looking for or still writing, right?
Yeah.
When I say still looking for, I mean the shopping analogy, still writing, I mean the blogging. Um, And then once you've built your blog library, you now know what you have, and you can always go back and grab what you need for any type of content or visibility that you need. So basically, like back in the day when I created my first Capsule blog library, I now know when I went back that I created 18 blog posts. Those were like the key things. And to be quite honest, like I had some fits and starts. Like I created some blog posts that I would no longer consider based on topics that I would no longer consider capsule worthy. So like I wrote more than 18 blog posts, but the 18 of them were the ones that did the heavy lifting for me for months and years. And so those are so now in high leverage content, I teach my students a system where they are building a capsule blog library of between 12 and 20 pieces of high leverage content. And for most of those, like 95% of my students, they write blog posts. And that's, in my opinion, one of the best, that's the best way to do it because then you have like, it's so easy. You have the versatile pieces, you
Mhm.
can copy and paste from it. You can put pieces of it into ChatGPT in order to, create pieces of micro content that you can use in other places. So you're always just drawing out of this library. So some of my students have 12 posts and then they stop and they move on to their repurposing and resharing era. Some of them write 18 posts. So it's anywhere between 12 and 20 based on their needs and what their audience needs to hear and learn and understand more deeply to be ready to buy. We choose those topics very specifically. I have a very specific framework for choosing them. They are not random. And
Yep.
then once you build your library, like I said, you stop. Like you don't keep blogging every week or every month. And when people hear me say that, they are shocked because all the advice that we've heard over the years about blogging comes from the blogger world. The
Hmm.
bloggers are not monetizing the same way we are. They're doing it like it's a different goal. And so the advice that you're hearing if you're listening to the blogger advice is like, oh, you have to keep blogging consistently every week or every month or whatever in order to somehow stay like you have a valid blog or stay in the favor of Google or all those things. And in my system, you don't keep blogging. You
Yep.
could if you want. Every once in a while, if you realize, you know what, I want to write a piece about this particular topic, or I feel like I've evolved a little bit and I really want a new post that explores this problem that I now know that I help people solve in my offer. Sure, you can go and write another blog post, maybe a couple a year, but you don't have to. And you're not aiming to write a new blog post every week or every month. It's not, you don't have to be consistent. Instead, you build your capsule library and you allow it to help you be consistent in other places. For example, if you want to be on social media, on your social media channels of your choice, if you want to have an email marketing system, which I consider completely required, to be honest, for
Hmm.
success in this business, you draw on your capsule library for the emails that you need to send to your list on a regular basis. If you don't want to be on social media at all, and in fact, the way you want to grow your audience is through collaborations, you draw on your capsule blog for speaking topics, pitch topics, um, things like, larger presentations, smaller presentations. I even have a system for pulling your capsule blog post that you created very strategically into a format for a webinar, for example. So anything you need, it can come out of your capsule blog library. And so the capsule blog library just makes everything else that you need in your business for months and years so much more easy to generate that all of a sudden you go from like, a lot of my students go from like, oh, I hate marketing to like, oh my God, this is so easy. I love this. It's so easy to show up. And I'm talking about my paid offers 10 times more than I was before because it's so easy. So yeah, that's the capsule library in a nutshell. Capsule in a nutshell. I love it. Okay. Zip. What do you think?
So my mind immediately goes to, and obviously you teach this in high leverage content, so you're not going to lay
Mhm.
it out here, but deciding what topics that you would create
Yeah.
for this content. Now,
Yeah.
full transparency, guys, I'm going to be turning some of my YouTube videos that we did in late summer on Pinterest Manager stuff here on the live portion of the channel into some of my 18 blog posts
Yes.
for the Pinterest Manager Business Builder program going forward. So, like, you can peep some of my topics and see what I am planning on working on, but
Yeah.
that's not the whole cake, right? So, we're making decisions and we're creating content based on our offers. So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
If you have a brand new offer like what I have, the process might take us a little longer and it might be a little, I mean, you're teaching this in high leverage content, but if someone's going off and doing this on their own without high leverage
Mhm.
content,
Yep.
they're definitely weeding through some duds on content that's going to convert.
Like
S-
topics.
Like topics, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So
Did you?
what I was going to ask is,
Mhm.
you
Sorry,
know,
I get excited. Sorry.
no, you're coming up with topics to start with. So I feel like some
Right.
obvious ones would be like the most commonly asked questions that people have in regards to your offer.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yep. So backing up a little bit, you're asking the right question because the way we avoid the duds as much as we can is by being very strategic about the topics that we do choose.
Hmm.
And I have on occasion had someone come to me and say, like, oh, I already have a blog. Well, it's actually more than on occasion. This happens a lot. People who already have a blog,
Hmm.
it's like, how can I take what I already have in my blog and turn it into a capsule library and then just start using it to repurpose all the time and not have to keep creating new content? And they're thinking about it the right way, but we have to first back up and like kind of audit what they have
Hmm.
because the fact of the matter is like I have a lot of health coaches in my audience as an example. And health coaches, without knowing, without having the framework that I teach inside of HLC or some kind of framework, like it doesn't have to be mine, but some kind of framework for choosing high converting topics, left to their own devices, they tend to write blog posts about things like, recipes that are like good for like anti-inflammatory stuff, if they maybe focus on that, or 10 foods to avoid if you are trying to improve your digestion, right? Or
Yeah.
um, like if a fertility coach might say, like, if you're trying to get pregnant this year, like, here is like my top 5 books to read. And it might not even be books about fertility. It could be books about like mindset. And like she might write a blog about like the books and like what the takeaways are that help you with fertility and things like that. And those types of blog posts, unfortunately, those are the things people think of when they think of blogs because they think of like a blog, musings, things I'm thinking about today, what I'm working on. But that's not what I mean when I say capsule-worthy blog topics. The capsule-worthy blog topics,
Yeah.
as you alluded to, are going to be the things that again, I bring this back to what I've said already twice, the things your audience needs to hear and learn and understand more deeply to be ready to buy. So yes, a great example of that is like, what are the most common questions you hear? Some of those are going to just be questions about your offer, and I call those just offer questions. And then some of
Yep.
them are actually going to be, they're really objections if you think about it. A lot of times when we hear these common questions from people about our offer or about the space we work in or the work that we want them to want to do with us, the questions they ask are actually revealing their objections. So those are great examples of the kind of content that is the strategic content that we want to be writing for a capsule worthy blog library. Because the fact of the matter is if you move into your era. And inside HLC, I teach you how to like cycle through resharing and repurposing your blog posts. Basically, once you have 12, let's say you have 12 blog posts in your library. That's like my minimum that I would say is like you're done. And then you share each one and repurpose from it for like 2 weeks, which gives you 24 weeks of content. And then you start again at the beginning. And that creates the repetition in our messaging that you and I talk about all the time that you actually need to be able to sell things.
Hmm.
Repetition is what sells, not brand new, fire hosing your audience with new ideas and content all the time. So the reason I went on down this little like waylay here is that when you have your library, if you're repeating things over and over again, like here are the best foods to eat, if you are wanting better gut health, here are the books to read, if you're trying to have a baby, those don't really move the needle on getting people ready to buy your offer. So your
Yep.
capsule blog library needs to be the things that move people toward getting ready to buy your offer. And sometimes when people on their own, because you're mentioning like, what if people kind of want to do this on their own? Um, when they try to think about what those things are, they're like, oh, I see what she's saying. They're not just teaching people educational things, although that can be part of it. They're also answering objections, as an example. they start realizing that writing those posts is harder than writing a list of 5 great recipes for better gut health, right?
Yep.
And really, that's why we write these fluffy pieces because they're easy instead of taking the time to figure out, okay, how do I actually write a blog post that busts open this objection that 50% of the people who are thinking about buying my offer have?
Mm,
Right? Writing that objection-based piece feels hard. And of course it
it
does. Like
does.
objection busting content is some of the hardest to write, right? And so that's why like inside the program, I actually like have the outlines and the things to help you actually make it easier to write it and know how to answer objections. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago, actually. Um, so anyway, yeah, like you're asking the right question. Like it can't just be fluffy stuff.
Hmm.
Library, you have to take a season, and this is how I teach it in HLC too. You have to take a season or a couple of seasons, maybe divided by a period of rest, to write the blog posts that sometimes feel hard.
Yep.
And the thing is once you've written them, they will be assets for you that you'll use forever. Capsule library, you get to use them over and over again to create all kinds of versatile, amazing outfits that make you feel confident and look fabulous and all that kind of stuff, right? It's that analogy again, but it does take a little bit of doing in the beginning to get those blog posts that feel harder to write than just like, 10 gut health recipes, to get those written, and posted and out there and working for you on your blog. So, um, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like it's got to be the effective things. And like you said, I'm not going to like get into all 7 pillars that I teach. I'm sorry, 9. Where did I get 7?
I don't know.
Hmm. Bizarre. Um, maybe because I already kind of mentioned 2 of them. Maybe that's where maybe that's where we went with this. But yeah, there's like, 9 specific types of posts that we write in order to make sure that our library is going to be high converting and worth repeating,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. So what am I not asking for the
um,
viewers? What am I
yeah.
forgetting to ask you about this concept of capsule blog posts? Because
I don't I don't know because we
I'm
just came into this winging it because we both are doing a lot this week.
I'm a maximalist kind of girl. I've got everything. I've got all of it. I have hundreds.
In your blog.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. And we've talked about this before, but one of the reasons you have a lot of blog posts is because of YouTube, because YouTube has been
Yeah.
a visibility strategy for you. And when you have a YouTube video, you turn it into a blog post.
Yeah.
And you do that for SEO as well.
Yeah.
And that's a separate strategy that is a
Hmm.
great strategy that works really well, but it is separate from the Capsule blog library strategy. And you're very much like a lot of my more advanced students who come in and say, like, okay, I already have a blog. How do I do HLC? Because I have a lot of students that either have no blog and they're starting from scratch, so they just need to start at the beginning and
Hmm.
brainstorm at least 10 topics for each of the 9 categories that I teach, and then narrow them down based on my score and select process, and then begin the process of building the blog library with those high converting topics. But for you and someone else who comes in who already has a blog, the process can look a little different. It can be basically identifying if you were starting from scratch, what would those 12 to 20 pieces of content be? And then auditing what you have because you may already have some of them, but they might just need some restructuring in order to convert better. And then filling in the gaps with any that you just never wrote that you probably somehow knew because you're an advanced entrepreneur that you should write but just haven't yet. And
Yeah.
then using my outlines to write those ones that you never wrote because maybe they felt hard or they just, just didn't end up in there somehow. So it's a little bit of it can be a little bit of a different process for people that already have a blog, like a significant blog.
Yeah.
And some of my students come in with like 2 or 3 blog posts that they wrote in 2021 or 2020 when they were hanging out inside a lot and wanted to write blog posts. But typically when that happens, it's usually those are the ones that have like the, 10 books to read if you're trying to get pregnant kinds of blog posts that aren't, unfortunately. I mean, I don't say delete them from your blog, but they're not going to move the needle with the capsule library. So those folks, I really have them just follow the start from the scratch process
Yeah.
if they only have 2 or 3 blog posts from 2020. But there are people like you who come into HLC who have a big catalog of blog posts, and there's this process of identifying what you need first for your capsule library,
Yeah.
and then finding out which ones you already have, optimizing those, and then filling in the gaps by writing new blog posts about the things that you haven't written about yet that you need to.
Yeah. It's tough to decide these days, what do we create new and what do we not?
Mm,
I think I've told you in the past, like this year, I really haven't been creating a lot of new blogs. We've been updating a lot
hmm.
because I do have a wealth of over there. And it's
Yeah.
just to a point to where even on my main visibility channel, YouTube, I don't feel like I have anything like brand new to talk about as far as topics. So I'm like finding new angles to attack those topics.
Hmm. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like that's a YouTube strategy
Mhm.
because with YouTube we want your strategy as a advanced person who like you're so interesting because you sell services and a program, Pin
Mhm.
Profit Academy, and also PMBB, which is the Pinterest Manager Business Builder. But you also have a foot in kind of the other monetization method,
Yeah.
which is like influencer status. I mean, you are literally an influencer in the Pinterest space, and then you are making money as an influencer with things like brand deals, being, well, you're a consultant for brands, Pinterest actually has you doing work for them. You make money on your YouTube
Yeah.
monetization based on number of views you get on your videos. So you have multiple streams of income. And a lot of my students would like to have that in the future,
Yeah.
but I always remind them in HLC, like we work on one income stream at a time. Like right now, you're building a library that's going to get you
Hmm.
clients. And if down the road you also want to leverage content to have other multiple streams of income, that's great. But if you try to do it all at once, none of it happens, right? So,
Yeah.
um, but so with your stuff, like you are wanting to put out more YouTube videos. You want a new YouTube video roughly every week, right? During
Yeah.
most seasons. So it's a little bit, it's a different model. You're
Yeah, for
advanced and
sure.
also advanced and you are an influencer. You're like both.
I actually have a friend that I sent this video link to right when we started, and she is she's a coach and she does services for people. And she was talking to me earlier this year about diversifying marketing, where she's not just reliant on referrals, which is really works well for her.
Yep.
I don't know if she's watching or she'll watch the replay, but nonetheless, like I feel like this could be a really good method for people who are like coaches and service providers, but you don't really want to do video, you don't want to do aesthetic Instagram reels or YouTube, maybe you don't even want to have a podcast. But like long form content is a must. People need to be able to search for you when you are not working, when you're not talking about yourself, when you're not in the room. And eventually, referrals do dry up. I mean, they may come back. That has happened to me over the years where they're kind of a roller coaster situation.
Hmm.
But knowing that I have something working for me, even if I'm just like cooking dinner or on vacation or running to the store or whatever,
Yep.
is so good for
Yeah.
my stress levels
Hmm.
and my nervous system. Knowing
Yes.
that
Yeah.
like I have this thing going. So like a long form blog strategy I think could be really
Hmm.
good for her
Yep. With evergreen
with
content. Evergreen content. Hmm.
the evergreen content. And she helps people find work. Like she
Hmm.
helps them write resumes and she helps them
Oh
to,
yeah.
apply for jobs and coaches them through like job transitions. Maybe they're quitting one career and starting another. This is
Hmm.
like really relevant for her, and especially in this economy where people are looking for work or they might be laid
Yeah.
off and
Hmm.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what? Just as a random aside, 2 weeks ago, I had two strategy calls on one
mhm,
day. And it was so weird. I told my husband later on. Both of those strategy calls were with people who worked for the U.S. government.
mhm.
One on furlough and one who, yeah, basically both on essentially on furlough.
On furlough.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a twisty time, and I think Kristen could really
Hmm.
benefit from this method. So,
Hmm.
anyways, Kristen, you should go and consume Jana's blog content.
Yeah, I'll drop a couple of blog posts that can get people started on understanding more about the Capsule blog library concept. But
Mhm.
the best place to learn it really is my free masterclass.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
So it's my free blog strategy training. It's a webinar and it walks you through, I show you visually how we actually build the library and then how we like on what cycle we repurpose and reshare so that you can actually see it like visually, which is super helpful for a lot of people. It gives them a big like aha moment when they see it. And then I also get into what I call the six secrets, but it's really just the like kind of the six like things that you need to understand from a strategy perspective to make this actually work for you and make it a profitable strategy. And it's totally free. So I'll put that link in the description of this video, of course.
Yeah.
And there was something else you were saying about, I forget what it was. I was going to say something about
So if people
coaches.
do watch this and they are in a position where they're in like a career pivot,
Mm,
because I have people come to me all the time and they're like, should I start a blog? Like,
mm, mhm,
is blogging even a thing that we do anymore? Like
mhm.
I read blogs still.
Yeah.
Um, I especially cook from them, still.
Mm,
It is
yeah.
still a thing.
Yep.
But if someone is in like a career transition and they are looking to use the skills that they already have to maybe jumpstart something else, like this would be a path
Mm.
that you would lead them down.
Yeah, I mean, my question for people whenever they say like, should I start a blog? I always say, what would be the goal of your blog? And specifically, how do you want to monetize it?
Yeah.
And I ask them that to give them clarity, but also just to give them, like, I need to understand the answer to that in order to be able to give them good advice and tell them whether a blog would be a good move for them. Because for some people, it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be my first question is like, so what would your goal be with your blog? Specifically, like, what role do you want it to play in your business? And or how would you like to be making money from your blog 1 year from now or 6 months from now?
Yeah.
Because if they say like, well, I love writing and I would like to be able to have a lot of passive income from affiliate links, for example, that's going to be like, I'm going to be giving them completely different advice and answers and resources than if they were to say, well, I'm a career coach and I'd like my blog to give me a place to like articulate my thought leadership and help people want to hire me as their career coach.
Yeah.
The latter situation, the career coach would be someone who I would probably, if I ask a few more questions first, most likely, I would probably say, great, come and join high leverage content. I'm going to show you how to have a blog that gets read by people who are your ideal audience and gets them converting to clients. But if someone were to say, like, no, I'm starting a blog so that I can monetize with affiliate links, or, I have a friend who is part of Mediavine, and so I want to build my blog to the point where I can qualify for an ad network, I would say, okay, high leverage content isn't for you, but here are some other places you can go and learn about how to be a blogger and have a
Yeah.
blog that is your business. The people who I teach have a blog for their business,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And there are other people who want to start a blog as a business right now. I would say go for it if they have all the right, things lined up, because I think it's still worth it to start a blog that
Hmm.
gets monetized with traffic and affiliate links. Like anything worth doing, it's not easy, but it is still, I
Yeah.
think, totally possible. Do you think, I think it's still possible. Do you think it's still possible if you choose a good like niche topic and
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, obviously with that monetization method it's completely different than HLC where you
yeah,
have an offer that you're
hmm
selling to people.
right,
You're in your own pool,
right.
playing in your own little kiddie pool. It's an adult pool actually, so that's lots of
Yeah.
fun.
It's a small
But
pond and you're a big fish.
yes, but when you have affiliate marketing, it might feel like a big blue ocean, but you need a lot of traffic.
Right,
You need a
right,
lot of clicks in order to convert even 100 people to a
right.
sale. So it's hard. Affiliate
Yeah.
marketing is hard.
Oh, yeah.
And
And yeah,
view-based, like,
ads.
yeah, it's like which monetization method do you want to be is like a
Hmm
great, like going back to your original point. Do you want to
hmm
be a traffic-based or do you want to be a conversion-based?
Yeah. Yep. And that's going to be like, we talk about that with the blog question, but it's the same with any platform, really. YouTube,
Yeah.
Instagram. Like it really, it's interesting because it's a conversation you can have about just about any platform. But yeah, as it relates to blogs, that's definitely like what I would want to know if someone were saying like, oh, I want to start a blog. Should I start a blog? Does anyone even read blogs anymore? That's another question I get a lot. And that could be a whole topic for another day, another YouTube
Yeah.
chat, another live stream. Actually, let me write that down. That's a good one. Spoiler alert,
So,
yes, they do, but
yeah.
there's some nuance to it, so we'll talk about it.
So everyone can go to the description after the live is over. Give Jana a little bit of time to put the links in there. She's going to put a couple of blog posts as well as her webinar, like how to create a high converting blog training. And check those things out. And what's next, Jana? Like, do you feel like we talked about everything that you wanted to chit chat about today?
I came to this live stream with very few expectations because we've both been so busy. We just knew we
We
wanted to
have
talk
been.
about this. So,
And
yeah, I
you've
think we covered the basics of this topic in detail. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. So next week we're going to do a behind the scenes of real content repurposing hacks and examples. And I'm excited to talk about that because I love content repurposing and it's something I want to get more into in the coming year. I really want to take that seriously. So we'll see you back here next week, same time, same bat channel.
Love it.
Okay.
See you then.
Alrighty.
Okay.